There he is. It didn't take long. There he is. Decent fish. Right. Go, folks. Did a little offshore fishing today. Just man, there's a shad in that fish's throat too. Look at that. See that shad tail down there. Just working some of these deeper points. You know, you're just looking for hard spots and drops. The wind's blowing out here, super windy, but that's a nice fat chunky fish. Looks like a pre-spawner maybe. I don't know. I'll make another cast. See ya.
What's up, folks? Gabe Montgomery here, 10 Horse Mighty YouTube channel, and had a pretty fun day. Had a few hours to fish. I wasn't able to do the intro out on the water because it was super windy. And, you know, I focused on these kind of pre-spawn, these kind of transition areas, points and places where the fish are coming and going. You know, this time of year I get a little bit tired of fishing up shallow, so I like to start getting out deeper and checking this kind of stuff. And was able to find a few groups of fish. You know, like I said, I was just there for a few hours, but it's fun. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, the post-spawn and kind of what these fish do. You know, you've got a group of fish that will typically stay in shallower. You know, they'll hang around after the spawn. They'll hang around and feed on the bluegill. There'll be a shad spawn that will hold them tight. But after that kind of dwindles down, there's a group that will just kind of stay in shallow for most of the year. They may stay shallow all year long, and then there'll be a group that moves out and chases shad. And that's not, you know, that's not to say that it's different. It's different in different lakes, but in our area, that's typically kind of what happens. You've got the bluegills, you know, the bluegill feeders, and then you've got the shad eaters. Two different groups of fish, and there are times when there's definitely more shallow than deep, more keyed in on the bluegill, and then there's sometimes where a lot of them go out. Basically what I'm trying to say is there's times when a majority of the fish are feeding on one forage base or another, so you have to kind of figure that out, but there will always be fish feeding on both.
Oh, baby. Spot looks pretty sweet. There he is. There he is. The fish feels a little bit heavier. Yeah, nice solid fish. Nice solid fish. Here we go. Just found a school on this point, and just had one bump it, missed it, made another cast, and there you go. Just nice fun fish, you know, just good slot fish. Good stuff. It's just nice to be out off the bank a little bit. You know, I've been pounding the bank for the last month, and some of these fish are post-spawn, some of them are pre-spawn, waiting to move up. You know, the next full moon, we're in the middle of May and there's a full moon coming. So you get in these areas that are, you know, places that, transition areas, you know, the fish are coming and going, and you just kind of, you run into both.
So deep crank is what I was doing today. You know, I was just fishing a 6XD. You know, you can, when it first gets going, you can get by, you can throw a lot of these loud colors. I mean, this is a traditional color, this baby blue powderback, chartreuse side. These are 6XDs, whatever crankbait you like. But this is a good bait that gets down there. you know, honestly, it gets down in about the 16-foot zone on a long cast. You know, it kind of stays. It works really good in that zone. So this is something that I like to throw. And you know, as the season goes on and they get a lot more pressure, you gotta move to something a little bit more natural. You know, something like the Tennessee shad or the gizzard shad or something like that. And, you know, they even have like this has got some 3D image print on there of a shad. These are all 6XDs. You know, if you're going a little bit shallower, the 5XD. You know, this is something that, you know, 12 foot, it really does the best damage to me in 12 foot. So I like to, if I'm fishing something I want to get down there in like 14, you know, I'm thinking this dig's really good, the 6XD. If I'm fishing something shallower, then I'll move to the 5XD. But you're looking for points, deeper banks, brush piles, things like that, that these fish that have been spawning can pull out. A lot of times they're still in the same areas that they've spawned in, and they'll start making their way out to the main lake for the most part. As far as a rod and reel setup and what to look for when you're going to get into the deep cranking, I like a longer rod. You know, this is a 7'10" Team Lose rod. This is a crankbait rod. This is several years old. It's 85 million modulus graphite, just a soft parabolic type bend. You want a really soft tip when you're deep cranking, just something that loads up, keeps those fish pinned, allows them to suck it in. And and when you're fighting them as well, you want something that keeps that line tight as they jump. If it's bent, you know, if it's got that parabolic action and they jump, it's still going to keep a little bit of pressure on them. But a long rod is key for making long casts, and that's one of the biggest things that you need to consider when you're deep cranking, is making a really long cast, because that allows that crankbait to get down to its maximum depth and stay down to its maximum depth for the longer period of time. I like 12-pound tests. I'm always fishing 12-pound tests, even on, say, square bills and shallow crankbaits. I typically 12-pound test all around for my crankbaits, but definitely with a deep diving crankbait, you don't want to get too thick a line unless you're really fishing around super heavy cover. But most of the time, 12-pound test is perfect. A 6.4 to 7.1 gear ratio. A lot of guys like a slower speed reel, but I like to be able to move it if I need to. And you know, your rod is so key, not only for a long cast, but having a soft rod takes a lot of that wear and tear out of your arms and your hands and stuff. So you can get by with a little bit faster speed reel. If you want to slow it down, you can just slow it down. You know, you just got to be mindful of slowing it down, but you also got the option to speed it up with a little bit faster reel.
Didn't take long. Oh, chug bug in the mug. Oh, chug bug in the mug, little guy. Had to pick that up one time just to see. Saw this little shade line over here. Wind's blowing in on it. Never know. There he is. Look at that. Just pulling the bait up. Come on, grab it. Just pulling the bait up. That happens sometimes, folks. It's right at the end of your Trieve. That bait starts coming back. It changes angles and the fish grab it.
After the fish spawn, they're going to stay in the general vicinity of where they spawned at. They're going to move towards a heavier cover. They might slide out a little deeper, find a brush pile, a turn, a steeper bank, some wood, something like that to hold on and just kind of rest up. And then they'll make their way out of the coves. You know, secondary, basically the same way they came in. If your fish winter out in the main lake and they move back into these coves and pockets and stuff to spawn, they're going to use the same migration path. So just like on the way in, they used channel bends and secondary points, they're going to do the same thing on the way out. So check secondary points and the channel swings, the deeper banks, anything that's got laydowns and, you know, just typical areas that you think that the fish would be holding. And then they'll make their way out to the main lake and set up for summertime. You know, there's a group of fish, like I said earlier, that will hang out in the grass. If you've got grass lakes, and there's some that will get offshore on the drops and ledges and stuff. But you got to kind of just retrace their line of travel that they took into the pocket. And hard spots are really key. A lot of times you get on these points, you'll find just a little small area that's holding the fish, and it'll be just a hard spot, just a shell bed, a place where the wave action has washed away some of the silt on the point, and you're going to have a hard bottom, you know, some gravel or something that will hold these fish, and they'll just congregate on them. And it's a cast. Another thing that's important, if you do get a bite on a cast, really pay attention to where your boat is at and what angle you were throwing, because 9 times out of 10 you can continue to make that cast and catch fish, especially if they're schooling out there. You get the school fired up and you just continue to make that cast. If you're off by 5 feet, a lot of times you don't get bit. It's just, you just really got to pay attention. I'm seeing a couple little fish down there. It's super windy out here. I don't know if you guys can see them. There's just some little dots down there. I'm gonna pull up on this point, see if I can get a bite or two. Got some shad showing up here. Should be able to catch some fish here. I don't see anything big, but so what? I'm gonna try.
There he is. Let's have to speed up my retrieve a little bit. Little guy. They had mud on the bill. Not a big fish, but it's fun. Just gotta keep plugging through them. They're down there. Just gotta make them react. There he is. He slammed it. Saw those fish down there. It's coming up. There you go. Saw those fish down there on the graph, way out off this point, and that fish slammed it. It's fun. It's fun getting out off the bank.
Hey, that's all I got for you. This was just a little short trip. Just want to give you a taste of some of that offshore fishing. You're going to see a lot more of this coming up in my future content. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do hit the little bell notification. Give me a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. And till next time, look for more of this kind of offshore type stuff. You know, I'm going to be going over the Magnum shaky heads. We're going to be doing some underspin, some hair jigs, some Carolina rig. We're going to continue to deep crank, but I'm going to really try to exploit these fish as they move out to their summer holding patterns. Appreciate it.